Chapter 113 to 115. A raindrop pierced through the clouds, sliced through the sky, and fell onto the horn of the demon mask. The man wearing the demon mask was colder than the rain. He stood silently in the drizzle, gazing indifferently at Hanzo the salamander and the cave entrance behind him. A person's name and shadow follow them. The moon god had never appeared in the land of rain, but his exploits of decimating ninja forces from 3 nations and causing havoc in Konoha were well known throughout the ninja world. The moon god is extremely dangerous. Ordinary shinobi should flee immediately upon encountering him. This had become a consensus among the ninja villages. As the leader of Omega Kure, Hanzo naturally had plenty of intelligence on the moon god, but not being from Konoha, his understanding was limited. He couldn't comprehend why this man who had caused such a storm would appear here. Moon god? Hanzo frowned, his voice muffled through the breathing mask. Are you looking for me? Yuto tilted his head slightly, causing the horn of the demon mask to cast a cold gleam. He spoke calmly, his voice just loud enough for Nagato inside the cave to hear. I'm looking for a pair of eyes, similar to mine. Hanzo and Nagato inside the cave both turned pale. The eyes of a sage, huh? Hanzo stared intently at the man wearing the demon mask. This was the first time the moon god had spoken about himself, a rare piece of information. But what would be the cost for those who heard it? The atmosphere became tense, and the rain seemed to fall slower. Bang! A tremendous sense of danger prompted Hanzo to act first. He used a summoning jutsu, and a 20-meter-long salamander appeared. Good judgment, quite clever. Yuto chuckled, seemingly unintentionally placing his hand on his forehead, positioning God's mask. The blood of the Otsutsuki clan flowed once again in his body. In the mask mode, every movement of Hanzo and the salamander was clearly visible. With a light step on the ground, Yuto dashed towards Hanzo, choosing a straightforward linear charge, showing no regard for the demigod. Whoosh! The salamander opened its mouth, spewing a dense poison mist that instantly enveloped Yuto. The poison was so potent that even Hanzo, who had a poison sac implanted from a young age, felt uncomfortable. However, he simply raised a repulsive force barrier, rendering the air and poison mist ineffective. In a flash, he emerged from the poison mist, successfully reaching Hanzo. With an explosion of gravitational force, Hanzo's body moved involuntarily. Yuto formed a small blade of repulsive force at his fingertips and nonchalantly thrust it forward. With a splash, he only struck a puddle of water. Hanzo had 2 renowned techniques: his summoning beast, the salamander, and his water teleportation jutsu. Suddenly, the ground beneath Yuto softened, and the salamander burrowed underground. He floated in mid-air instead of landing. If it were you from 10 years ago, you'd definitely have the salamander hide underground for an ambush while you relied on water teleportation and poisoned weapons to engage me directly. A troublesome combination, but unfortunately, Yuto moved even faster towards a specific location. Unfortunately, now your first reaction to a strong enemy is to flee. Sensing the moon god appearing behind him, Hanzo had no choice but to pull out the chains and scythe he had fought with his entire life. Bang! The scythe struck the repulsive force shield. Yuto lowered his body and swiftly cut Hanzo's abdomen with a kunai, quick as lightning. The poison sac ruptured. The man known as a demigod shuddered violently. That poison sac granted him extraordinary combat power, but also brought him to the brink of death. The poison spread throughout his body, his strength rapidly fading. The salamander's mournful cry echoed from underground, but a summoning beast could do nothing without its summoner's chakra. The salamander vanished with a puff. Hanzo's body was paralyzed, the poison corroding every vein and blood vessel. He knew he was close to death. Damn moon god. How did he know his weakness? Hanzo, compared to Hiruzen, you're too weak. Yuto remarked calmly as he watched the demigod die. When did you become this weak? The younger you would have genuinely allied with the Akatsuki. When you were young, you fought for the dignity and survival of the land of rain, giving your all. At least in your youth, you were worthy of the title of demigod. But now you've changed. You no longer fight for the land of rain in Amagakure, but for your own power and status. A shinobi who betrays their own ninja way will find their jutsu weak and powerless. What a dull fight! Hanzo the salamander! Hanzo opened his mouth to speak, but had no strength left. Thud. He collapsed, unable to rise again. Under the gaze of the half-awakened Tensegan, Hanzo's heartbeat ceased, and his chakra flow stopped. Yuto flicked his fingers, sending a small serpent of repulsive force through Hanzo's neck, then twisted it violently, shattering the corpse. When killing, make sure the job is finished. Thinking this, Yuto glanced back at the deep cave and slowly walked towards it. Yuto originally had no plan to kill Hanzo, but during the search operation, their accidental eye contact made him decide to kill. He understood Hanzo's thoughts very well. Why did you kill Conan and cause Nagato to avoid the trap? The power of the fire style. Exploding flame formation could at least destroy the legs of that sage-eyed freak, if not kill him. No one else could know about the fire trap I set up there, but you have the Byakugan. Lone Lion colluded with the Akatsuki and saved Nagato by sacrificing Conan. This suspicion must have crossed Hanzo's mind countless times. If he exchanged information with Danzo after today and learned that Yuto had indeed stayed with the Akatsuki for a month and that Nagato had even helped Lone Lion complete the infamous Lion's Fang bite, the accusation of treason could be established. But he didn't expect Yuto's counteraction to be so swift, nor did he expect Yuto to be the moon god. In the end, shinobi must speak with their kunai. On the way to the cave, Yuto carefully reviewed the day's events. When he was sure there were no loose ends, he stood at the entrance. At the end of his gaze, the purple Rinnegan stared back at him. Nagato, Yuto spoke. Hanzo is dead. Moon god, Nagato warily watched him. We haven't met before. Fate has connected us. Moon god, as shinobi, we don't have the right to speak of fate. No. You're wrong, Nagato. Yuto's voice was soft. Fate is clear in our eyes. I'm looking for a pair of eyes similar to mine. Nagato suddenly remembered that sentence. His heart raced, but at the same time he felt relieved. Although he hadn't completely lowered his guard, he sensed that the moon god's goal was not to kill him or take his Rinnegan. Even in the land of rain, Nagato had heard of the moon god's domineering nature. If he meant harm, he would have acted already. Please come in. Moon god-sama. The mouth beneath Yuto's mask curled up slightly as he entered the cave. At the end of the cave, a bloodied Nagato sat on the ground, with Yahiko and Conan beside him. Heh. Yuto sighed. A soul embracing death combined with a body embracing death is hopeless and beyond saving. Nagato instinctively glanced at Yahiko, but suddenly, a thought struck him like lightning. A soul embracing death combined with a body embracing death is hopeless and beyond saving. Could it mean that those who haven't willingly embraced death can be saved? His lips trembled, and he struggled to speak. Conan? She... Of course, she can be saved because I'm the one who did this to her. Wouldn't the poisoner have the antidote? Yuto chuckled silently. She can. But, Nagato, can you pay the price? No one could have imagined how joyful Nagato was when he received a positive answer from the moon god. Nagato's dream was simple, to protect Yahiko and Conan. He gently picked up Conan, looked directly at the man wearing the Hanya mask, and asked, "Can you save Conan?" "Yes," Yuto responded softly. "But Nagata Uzumaki, as long as you can save her, I'll do anything you ask. Even if you want these eyes, you can have them. I just want my friend to live, Nagato said earnestly. I have no use for your eyes. Put her down. We'll talk after she's saved. Okay. Nagato obeyed, placing Konan on the ground and watching the moon god nervously. Yuto smiled inwardly. In the sight of his half-awakened Tenseigan, Konan's body was riddled with nearly 100 black holes, and her chakra had ceased to flow. This was identical to the damage caused by the gentle fist. To an outsider, it would appear her tenketsu and internal organs were destroyed, her body utterly ruined. But Yuto knew that these black holes were merely an illusion caused by the powder inside the mask. When he had struck Konan with the gentle fist, he had simultaneously injected the powder, blocking her chakra and reducing her vital signs to near zero. Her pulse beat just once a minute, making detection difficult. Using the powder from the broken god's mask, a completely inert substance that didn't react with chakra, he induced a false death state. Simply removing the powder would restore her. Yuto raised his hands and casually formed a seal. Nagato's eyes narrowed slightly. Though he had never seen this seal before, he was certain it wasn't something the moon god had made up. The curve and position of each finger were harmonious and natural, the hands together evoking a burst of spring vitality. Initially, Nagato only half believed the moon god, but after seeing the seal, his trust increased by 20%. If Yuto had heard Nagato's thoughts, he might have laughed out loud on the spot. Nagato had a good eye. This seal wasn't random. It was a lotus seal from Taoism in his previous life. Maintaining the posture of forming the seal, Yuto channeled his ocular power, slightly activating his Tenseigan. A tremendous pressure filled the cave, the surging chakra causing Konan and Nagato's hair to flutter. It has begun, Yuto said calmly and seriously. Forbidden technique. Resurrection of the dead. He did not use the formidable power of the Tenseigan, but rather used the momentum as a cover to place his hand on Konan, employing the basic medical ninjutsu, the mystical palm technique. As long as he expelled the powder from her body, she would recover. It was that simple, like a magic trick that could be unraveled once the deception was seen through, provided it could be seen through. Yuto's medical ninjutsu had reached a master level. In less than a minute, he flushed all the powder from Konan's body to her fingertips, discreetly using a fine needle to pierce her skin and collect the evidence into his hand. At the same time, the 3-minute limit expired, and Yuto exited the mask mode. Konan slowly regained consciousness, her eyes filled with confusion. She had no memory of what had happened, her last recollection being Yuto kicking her off the cliff. Konan! Nagato opened his arms and hugged her tightly, as if afraid she would disappear into thin air. Nagato, what happened to me? Konan was still a bit dazed, but when she saw Yahiko's corpse, her eyes filled with tears as she remembered everything. Konan, it's okay now, Nagato said through gritted teeth as he looked at his comrade's battered body. Yuto, that bastard. Next time I see him, I'll tear him apart. Agreed. The man in the Hanya mask laughed. When the time comes, I'll help you hold him down. Moon God! Konan finally noticed the man standing there. It's okay, Konan. He brought you back to life. Nagato gently patted his comrade's hand and turned to Yuto. Moon God, what do you need me to do? There was no gratitude, no promise of my life is yours, but all three present understood the determination of the red-haired young man. Just say the word, and I'll do it. He had saved Nagato from Hanzo of the Salamander and brought Konan back to life. Such immense kindness was something Nagato would never forget. Konan remained silent, but bowed her head slightly in acknowledgement. With Yahiko gone, Nagato is my everything. His decision is my decision. No matter the moon god's purpose, his immense help to them was undeniable. Neither member of Akatsuki would deny this. Because of Nagato and Konan's personalities, Yuto felt safe remaining here, even after exiting the mask mode. Yuto was certain that Nagato and Konan would not suddenly attack him. "You are both useful to me," Yuto said directly, fitting the moon god's domineering and arrogant nature. "What I need to do, I'll explain to you later. But for now, Nagato, I need your strength. The land of rain is about to undergo a significant upheaval. The yellow flash, the lone lion, the demigod, and that elusive root from Konoha. Today's event was just a small part of it. The real battle is about to erupt, centered around me. So, Nagato, become my strength. When the time comes, as a small reward," Yuto paused and smiled, "I will give you the opportunity for revenge." At the last light of the sun faded behind the mountains, Hanzo of the salamander's body was found. The corpse was sliced to pieces, unrecognizable until a medical team confirmed the identity. Everyone believed it was Nagato's revenge. The Rinnegan wielder had hidden his ace, killing Hanzo in his injured state and dismembering the body in rage. A very reasonable conclusion, considering Nagato's behavior after Yahiko and Konan's deaths. Amegakure and Konoha were both losers in this battle. Amegakure lost Hanzo and the thriving Akatsuki, while Konoha lost 23 shinobi with nothing gained and earned the enmity of the Rinnegan. Judging by Danzo's grim face, it was clear the level of fury he would face from the Hokage upon returning to the village. Minato and Yuto didn't stay long. They led Konoha's main forces away, leaving the cleanup to Ainbyu and Danzo. They each wrote a detailed report for Hiruzen Sarutobi and returned to their roles as commander and vice commander. The war continued, deep underground. Madara Uchiha looked up, the three tomoe in his eye sockets slowly rotating, though they still didn't belong to him. "I'm back," the voice echoed in the darkness as a white humanoid figure seemingly molded from latex reappeared underground. "I saw Moon God. He was with Nagato. There was a battle in the land of rain. Hanzo of the Salamander is dead, and the leader of the Akatsuki committed suicide. Moon God appeared last. He seems to be eyeing the power of the Rinnegan. Nagato is getting close to him." White Zetsu paused, clutching his head as he asked, "Do we need to retrieve the Rinnegan?" Madara was silent for a long time before he spoke calmly. "The eyes are with him. They won't run away." Wow, such confidence. As expected of Madara-sama, White Zetsu's personality was always lively, even when facing this man who had become a legend in the shinobi world. Sometimes he couldn't keep a straight face. "And Moon God? Just kill him. He's a masked clown. Leave it to the pawn." "The pawn? But we haven't gotten anyone yet." "We will, soon." Madara closed his eyes again, absorbing the chakra of the demonic statue to sustain his life. No one can escape fate, and pawns even less so. "Nagato, it hurts a bit." Konan frowned but didn't turn around. "Sorry." Nagato Uzumaki was drenched in sweat. "Yahiko used to dress your wounds. I have no experience. I reopened your injury. I'm sorry." "It's okay." The purple-haired woman smiled, comforting her partner instead. "It doesn't hurt." "Sorry." Silence spread in the room. Suddenly, Konan spoke softly. "Nagato, you've already said sorry to me 34 times today." "Sorry, Konan, The purple-haired woman didn't turn around. She just raised her arm and reached back, accurately pinching Nagato's mouth. "No more apologies. Yahiko's death wasn't your fault. I've never blamed you. If I had been in his place, I would have rushed towards that kunai too." A wet feeling spread from her hand, tears falling, trickling down Konan's hand and onto her back. Don't cry, Nagato." The purple-haired woman's voice was gentle, like comforting a grieving child. "You are a man with the eyes of a sage. You can't be this fragile." However, Konan's face, turned away from Nagato, was also covered in tears. The three had grown up together, and Yahiko and Konan had even been lovers. They saw each other as parts of their own bodies. Losing Yahiko, the pain was worse than losing a limb. But after grief, life had to go on. Nagato wiped his eyes, seeing that Konan's back was already stained with his tears, small water stains on the elegant curve of her back, reflecting a touching shimmer in the light. He didn't dare to look anymore. Konan was like family, having grown up with him, and she was Yahiko's lover who had died for him. He was ashamed, feeling like gouging out his own eyes. Nagato silently found a blanket and covered Konan. "Damned Yuto!" he suddenly cursed. The purple-haired woman sighed. "I didn't expect Yuto to suddenly attack. Strange, he didn't seem like such a ruthless person. Even if he were to kill me, he'd give a quick death." "Konoha shinobi, it's not surprising for them to do such things. Except for Jiraiya-sensei, they're all demons in human skin," Nagato stated coldly. His parents were mistakenly killed by Konoha shinobi, and Yahiko died in the schemes of Konoha and Amagakure. Nagato only felt that the shinobi village, which prided itself on being a towering tree, was the ugliest and darkest place in the world, without a shred of goodwill. Konoha Village, Hokage Office. "So the result is that Hanzo of the Salamander is confirmed dead. We lost 23 elite shinobi, and the Akatsuki still has the strongest member of the Uzumaki clan. And he even has the Rinnegan, right?" Hiruzen Sarutobi slammed 3 reports heavily on the table, massaging his brow. "Danzo, you can't give me some good news, can you?" Danzo was silent, not speaking for a long time. A crushing defeat. Other than obtaining the information that the Akatsuki possessed the sage's eyes, they gained nothing. "You can leave." Hiruzen didn't say more, just waved for Danzo to leave the room. Soon, only Hiruzen was left in the room. "Hanzo," he muttered to himself, feeling a headache. The strategy to help Amegakure quell the rebellion had been implemented so smoothly, even mobilizing Konoha's frontline forces. Besides the grand strategy of forming an alliance with Amegakure, Hiruzen had his own purposes. He wanted to bring Hanzo of the Salamander into the team to encircle Moon God too. The encirclement plan had been set in the Land of Rain. With Konoha helping Amegakure, Hanzo of the Salamander had no reason to disagree. Unfortunately, fate played a big joke on Hiruzen. Without Hanzo, the encirclement might have a gap. More forces must be added. Kirigakure was almost negotiated next. Hiruzen got up, thinking as he left his office through a secret door, arriving in a hidden room. Opening the door, a sickly girl sat inside. "Meiko!" Hiruzen took a puff from his pipe. "Are you comfortable living here? I heard you like colorful glass beads. Tonight the Anbu will bring some when delivering your meal." "Thank you, Hokage-sama." Meiko Hyuga smiled. Although still thin, her complexion and demeanor were much better than before. She had started to eat regularly, train in shinobi techniques, and even chat and laugh with the Anbu taking care of her. All the changes stemmed from something Hiyashi Hyuga had said to her. "Meiko, Shinosuke might still be alive." Yes, Meiko had been sent by Hiyashi himself. Although it was unclear why the Hyuga clan made such a sacrifice, Hiruzen gladly accepted. If Moon God was indeed Shinosuke, Meiko was indeed the perfect bait. Of course, she was just one of the many baits. The third Hokage was absolutely confident that Moon God couldn't resist any of the baits. Irresistible bait, unbeatable experts, and an inescapable encirclement. These were the things Hiruzen prepared for Moon God. Amidst the smoke, the third Hokage sat beside Meiko. "Meiko." "Hokage-sama, are you afraid? Though I haven't told you the specific plan, you should be able to guess. What the village needs you to do is dangerous, and frankly, If you don't want to, the village can't force the Hyuga clan. Mako was taken aback. I didn't think that far. As long as I see Shinosuke and confirm he's alive, I'll be very satisfied. Besides, isn't Hokage-sama and the clan head also here? Hiruzen was stunned, tapping the ash from his pipe into the yard, smiling lightly at the Hyuga girl, then getting up and walking away. Before leaving, he spoke suddenly, his voice so low that only he could hear. Everything is for Konoha.